was in the More section. All right, so we're going to go ahead and record. Again, if you have your iPad and you want to be able to share your iPad, go ahead and open up Canvas, join the Zoom on your iPad. I'll admit it into the Zoom, and then if you want to share, you can share. If you don't have an iPad, you need a piece of paper today, and you're definitely going to need a pencil. So what we're going to do, first of all, and it looks like my background might interfere. Take the paper and fold it. We're going to fold it. Yeah, let me turn off the background so it doesn't interfere. All right, there we go. All right, so take your paper. We're going to have to fold it 2 times. The long way, and then fold it again, so that we have 4 even spaces. We're going to use these to draw. We're going to do a total of 8 areas. So there'll be 4 on one side. We'll flip the paper and do 4 on the other. And we'll also be doing this, if you can, on the iPad. And what we'll do in the iPad is we'll just draw 2 lines to cross and divide the paper into 4. Then once we've done that, we can go ahead and save those to submit. Okay? So give me a thumbs up when you're ready to start drawing and we'll get underway. Jaden, you ready? Good. Chris, appreciate it. Connor's good to go. And Carlos, you good, man? Luca, you're good? All right. I'm still wondering where my chat room is. Okay, so I'm going to share my iPad, and I'll be drawing these on the iPad. So just stay along with me. Make sure you save your drawings, and when we're done, we'll go ahead and submit these. Okay, so I'm going to share my iPad. And all right, so go ahead, give me a thumbs up if you see my iPad, a bunch of icons and a bamboo background. Jaden, you see my iPad on there? Good. All right. Christopher, you doing good?
Yeah, sorry. I went to ask my dad a question. Sorry.
Oh, okay. So you're seeing the iPad too? All right.
Yeah.
So I'm going to be going and doing this in Notes. Notes seems to work pretty good for drawing, especially when you're done. You can save the note, and then it makes it really easy to submit. So clicking on Notes, I have a new note, and that's where I'm going to go ahead and start. So like I was saying, I'll go ahead and divide the paper into 4 areas. So I'm just going to draw a line there, and I have these 4 areas. Other cool thing is we can actually zoom in, zoom out on these. And so first thing I want to go ahead and start drawing is a body that is, we'll start off really simple, okay? The first one we'll do is just laying down, which is super easy. I know it's not that dynamic, but we're going to use shapes like we did with the bodies. We're just doing the bodies. And can somebody tell me what that shape is called that uses your stomach and your chest? Oh, I can't zoom in. Okay, Luca, I'm sure you remember. What do we call that part of the body? It's the middle of the body. You there, Luca?
Yeah, I was gonna type it, but the
Oh,
torso
okay.
or the chest.
Yes, exactly, the torso. Thank you. Um, so what happens is, instead of drawing the torso vertical, we're going to do it horizontal. Okay. So you have the torso, maybe the head. But an interesting thing that happens is when we're doing the body, especially if we do it sideways, you're only going to draw one leg, maybe have a foot up there, and we could draw one arm because we don't see the other arm. The other arm's on the side. We don't see the other leg. Now that would be a side view. For some reason, some person was laying on their side. We could have the torso sideways, and then we'd maybe see the legs and maybe one arm and the other arm, right? So go ahead and draw a body laying down. You could do it the way I did it, where this would be like a front view. You could do the sideways, where somebody's laying back. If you want to have a little fun with it, maybe somebody's got a little bit of a belly, you know. And sometimes too, you may see part of the other leg sticking out. And these are just notes. So if you, draw over something, you can, man, my eraser is malfunctioning. Anyway, it's okay if it's a little loose or rough because this is cartooning, it's sketching, and more importantly is we're doing shapes, and these shapes are what are making our bodies. Okay, so laying down was the first one, and once you've done the first one, we're going to go on to the next one. This one's a little more involved. It's still valuable. You're going to find that you use it in a lot of different situations. And by the way, on these notes, my advice is try to do at least two if I'm doing a bunch of these. You don't have to do all the drawings I do, but try to do two. If you end up doing a bunch of them, that's fine too. Sometimes if you draw small, you can fit more in an area. So for sitting down, interesting thing that happens, here's the torso. This would be front view sitting down. Now, a really weird thing that happens when somebody's sitting down from the front, normally you'll have legs that are long, but when somebody sits down, they're going to bend, and so you don't see the whole leg. The knee, which is usually half the leg, is right at the top, and then you have the feet underneath. So when they're sitting, you only see half the leg, and then the arms, can go on top. So that would be the front view of sitting down. It's just like a normal body, except the legs are a little stubbed. You can actually draw it with the legs more outward, right? That was kind of like an M. And you could have the chair that they're sitting on or what they're sitting on. But because they're squatted down, this part right here of their legs is more dominant. This, we're only seeing half the leg, okay? Here's the side view, which is a helpful one to do. Head, torso, we're going to bend the leg. Kind of looks like a 7, right? You draw a foot. Because it's the side view, you only have to draw one leg. Or maybe, if for some reason you got a little bit of the other leg sticking out, you could have that. We'll also draw one arm. Okay. So that would be sitting. This is both from the front and the side. And if you ever want to really have some fun, you can really get into doing some really dynamic views where it's 3/4 or sitting from above or just at an angle. And we'll get more into that when I teach perspective and foreshortening. All right, so now we're really going to get into a little bit more dynamic, a little bit more movement. So you had laying, sitting down. Now we're going to do walking. Okay. And what's fascinating with walking is the torso. Well, actually, it can. Sometimes we'll lean it a little bit. But I was thinking of running. I was going ahead. With running, the torso is going to lean in. So here's what happens. I'll do walking from the side because that's the easiest one. So make sure you get this one. I'll also do walking from the front, which is really a difficult one, but you won't have to do this. Now, in the easiest way, we know the legs move. So you could do diagonal lines for the legs. Here's a great tip. Always have the front foot sticking up, right? And for the feet, you can just do rectangular ovals. Now, a good thing to know with walking, when somebody's walking, unless they're super rigid, the arms move a little bit. So the arms move opposite of the legs. So if the right leg is in front, then the left arm is going to be in the front, and vice versa. So, and because they're both moving, we'll see both of them usually, but we'll only see part of one. So here, let me draw part of this hand. And then here I have the full other arm. Okay, now that looks a little stiff, a little robotic. Something that you could do to really help fight that is bend them a little bit. Okay. You'll find that back leg's a little tricky. So bend them and they'll have them walking, okay? If that's a little tough for you to do those bending legs like that, sometimes what you can do is do those kind of awkward diagonal ones that are kind of robotic, which would be the equivalent of sketching it lightly. Then after you've sketched it lightly, bend it a little bit. Sorry, my thing got a little shaky. So, you know, you're sketching, you can go ahead and erase, darken in, fill in, fix. We could loosen them up by bending the arms too, but this is good for right now. So I hope you get your sideways view. And I'm really excited to see what some of our really good drawers do with this stuff, because I know Luca, she's phenomenal. Abby, she's amazing. So they'll not only do these, but they'll put a lot of personality into the forms. Here's the tough one, okay? You do not have to do this one, but I want to show you how to do this one. And what it is it's from the front. So you're going to have the head, torso. Wow, that's a huge torso. By the way, if you remember when we did bodies, there's skinny, chubby, muscular, feminine. You can use all those. So you just adjust the torso and make the adjustments you need to. Now here's the tricky thing, and I know it's kind of a mind bender, but when you have somebody walking and they're walking towards you, you're going to have things that look distorted. So this is actually the front foot. This would be the bottom of the foot. And then this is the back foot. And you'll notice this foot is super little, this one's really big. It's really weird. If you think about it too much, you're like, wait a minute, it looks wrong, but it actually is how it goes. And then what the back hand, remember it's the opposite hand. So if I had the right leg, or in this case, if you're looking from the front, the left leg coming up towards me, then that opposite arm needs to be back and small. Wait, no, I got that backwards. It's the opposite. This arm has to come forward. Oops, let me change the color. This one's going to be a little bit bigger, right? This is the one that's forward. The opposite one is going to be small. And it's kind of odd, but that's technically how it works. It takes a little bit of practice. And I need to make some adjustments because mine Okay, like I said, this is a super tough one, if not one of the toughest. And one of the important things that I'm glad some of you understand, when you draw, you really have to let go. You can't get uptight and be like, oh, that sucks. Oh, I hate how that looks. Dude, that's weird. You got to stop all that negative chatter. You just got to be positive and go, okay, this is what Mr. G said. He said, I'm going to see the bottom of a foot. It's going to be big, and then little foot. Just do it, you know. Got to let go, not be so uptight and care so much that it looks perfect. Again, after all, it is cartoon. Um, Let me go ahead and do the fourth one, and then if somebody wants to share, we can go ahead and share a little bit. And I hope nobody's stressing out or feeling overwhelmed, like, I can't do this. This is so hard. I have one student, I'm not going to name anybody, but I have a student that he always makes notes when he submits his drawings. And he does great drawings. And every once in a while, he's like, this sucks. Like, he didn't finish one. He turned one, he's like, I'm not finishing this because this sucks so bad. I'm not that good. He was really struggling with what I'm talking about, which is just cutting loose, letting go, not being so inhibited. Because a lot of times, people, they have these negative things going through you, and it inhibits a growth mindset. So if you say you can't, you won't be able to. So you need to let go of that stuff. All right, let's go ahead into running. Now, interesting thing that I was saying at the beginning of walking, with running, we're going to take the torso, tilt it, because that's actually what happens when you run. Running is actually a controlled falling. Your head is going to be out in front of the body, making the body teeter forward. And as it teeters forward, the legs kind of race to catch up and prevent the falling. So make sure when you do running, you have that torso that is leaning diagonally, head on top. And cartooning can be exaggerated sometimes, but what we're going to do is we're going to raise one leg up. Oops, I'm going to change back to that. We're going to raise one leg up with that foot. Now that could be tricky. I know some kids struggle with running because it takes a little bit of practice to learn how to get their legs right. So if you look, if you can see like the letter Z, almost like a block letter Z, that's pretty helpful. Okay. Because it takes a little practice. Now, let me tell you, you could do running with the leg out like that. It just doesn't look as good. So it's better to learn how to bend that one. So just come out and then bend it. That's the easiest thing to do. Do double lines if that helps, and then add the foot. Okay. So then the back leg, that one comes down and out. And usually with running, we'll have them up in the air, so draw it above. Make sure you have that head. You're going to pull one arm way back. The other arm is also out. And here's something really helpful when you do motion that is fast. I call these speed lines. Just add some lines that show the motion. Okay. It subconsciously helps the viewer go, oh, they're moving, they're running. That's the blur of the wind as they go by. Okay. And, you know, I've been doing this for years, but even I struggle with these, and I have to just let go sometimes. And right now I'm looking at it going, oh, man, that didn't look that great. Oh, whatever. But I just let go. And the front one, again, you don't have to do the front one if you don't want to. But there's the head. Got my torso. I'm going to foreshorten the torso because he's leaning forward. So the top is wider than the bottom because it's foreshortened. I'm going to have that high leg and then really small back leg and then small back arm and the large front one. Okay. So I know it's kind of painful. You just got to let go. Okay. that looks weird. But if you're just starting out, don't get hung up on it. Again, like I said, for this one, you don't have to do the front one if you feel too overwhelmed by it. The important one to do is get that side one. You'll find that one is very helpful in a lot of things. And I don't know if you realize this, but we are going to be doing some comic strips and some comic books. When you're telling a story, it'd be nice to have cartoon characters that run. All right, so this completes this side. I'm going to hit done, and it should be saved in my notes. And there it is. I'm going to put the name. Okay, maybe. I'm trying to remember how to do that. Edit. This guy. I don't know why it's named Oh So Why. Okay, and here's where I could share. So this is where you could submit it or save it on your desktop. I'm going to put it in my pictures. Save image. So it's saved in there, in my pictures. It still should be in my notes. Now I'm going to do a new note, okay? And this will be the second side. So if you have a piece of paper, flip it over to the other side. We're going to draw the 4 remaining ones. If you don't have, then go ahead and start a new one. Okay. So here's my new note. I'm going to divide my paper again. 4 lines, 4 areas. That's a little too rough. Try again. All right, so let's go ahead and do these and we'll be done. Now that we've done running, these other ones should be a little bit easier. It should go a little faster. So we'll start off with jumping. And so this one's going to be jumping. Now, what's important with this one is just like running, we're going to tilt the torso. Because in jumping, that's what always happens. You get the forward momentum. Interesting thing is, both legs can be forward. And you don't draw, it's kind of hard from the side to draw the back leg because it's in the way. So sometimes you may just do the one. You'll also have arms that are both in the front. You'll notice for my hands, I'm keeping it easy. I'm just drawing circles for my hands on the arms. And then, I know it just looks like a guy from the side is bending his knees, but if we establish that the fact that he's not on the ground, maybe even lower the ground lower and put some speed lines that I talked about, suddenly that guy is jumping, okay? And this also works for falling. A fascinating thing is most times when people jump, especially when you're talking like hopping, there's the 2 arms are parallel, are next to each other, and the 2 feet are parallel. Sometimes you may have jumping where somebody jumps like when they run, so you'll have, and then have both arms extended. So you can have that jumping too. But in a lot of cases, the 2 legs are together and behind. From the front, again, foreshortened torso, which means a wider top, narrower bottom. Then we'll have both arms. They could either be extended above, and then they get smaller as they go behind. So there's a lot of foreshortening. And you can bend the legs as well, bend the arms. There's nothing to say that you can't do one that has the arms behind, right? So you could do that too. So just try to get one of those in there. So we got jumping. That's a more difficult one. Now, by now, I hope you're getting the rhythm, you're getting the understanding that a lot of what's going on when the body moves is the torso kind of dictates what's going on. If you're laying, it's horizontal. If it's sitting, what position is the torso in? So for this next one, we'll do some really dynamic one. This would be dancing. Dancing is bizarre. These last three really get into advanced movement. And for that, sometimes it's really helpful to get a photo or a picture of what you're trying to draw. So if you have an image, at least until you learn how to do it, it's really helpful. So with dancing, there's so many different dance moves, right? I'll start off with just like a basic one. Dancing is mostly poses. So you try to pose the move that they're doing. Maybe I'll have a leg that's a little diagonal, and one that's a little bent. Back in the 70s, there was disco. So I'll have this guy with his finger up in the air, and maybe another hand extended. And it's like, wait, is this guy really dancing? It looks like he's just standing there with his finger up. Because it's not animation, these are poses that are stationary. Now, what's really helpful is, yeah, you could add another type of line, kind of like speed lines. These would be motion lines. This kind of reminds me, there's a famous artist, a New York subway graffiti artist, Keith Haring, that he would do these figures that were all dancing. And by adding these little motion lines, suddenly you get the feel that it's in movement, that it's shaking, it's vibrating, it's doing stuff. So you can pick different poses, and some people dance really odd. So you can get all sorts of different kind of stuff going on. And like I said, if you really want to like learn how to draw a certain type of dance, certain type of thing, it's best to find a reference or even maybe get a friend or a family member to pose. Wait, could you stand that way like that one dance? And then that's what you'll do. The motion lines help a lot. Also another kind of thing, little music notes. If you put a music note, then it gives a feeling like, oh, there's music? Oh, so they must be dancing. And I've had over the years some kids do some really cool stuff. Some kids will draw a disco ball, they'll draw a bunch of other people dancing. But it's really just these dynamic body positions. And, if you lift a leg, lift an arm, or bend them, you get more of a sense of motion. And, all right. And then let's go on to the third one, or actually the seventh one. And we'll do fighting. And I'm not advocating violence in any way. I just know that a lot of times it's a good dynamic body positioning to help us understand that. And a thing that's unique to fighting that's maybe different from dancing, because dancing is so open-ended. Dancing can be just about any body movement, except maybe laying down, But in fighting, it's very dynamic because usually you have a torso leaning forward, like we did in running and jumping. And you've got offensive and defensive body positions. You've got the attacker and the person being attacked. So there's some dynamics that go in there. So when somebody's fighting, maybe they've got to lean in, right? Maybe you're going to have an arm that's coming out to hit and another one back. But these are dynamic poses that have a purpose. And so those are deliberate movements. And I know some people really, they really enjoy doing the fighting body positions because some of them are really dynamic, especially if you have like, I don't know, kind of like a martial arts in the air, kind of kung fu kind of thing, So it can involve jumping at times. It can be completely defensive. Here I'll put a guy. He's got both his hands up front. He's kind of hunched over in kind of a defensive position. Okay. So again, these I would really recommend that you look at reference pictures. The best is other cartoons. So if you go into Google and type in cartoony boxer or cartoon fighter, cartoony ninja, stuff like that, boom, it's an endless supply of reference material. Other really great source is Pinterest. Pinterest has countless, and some people, they're so passionate about drawing and cartooning that they just upload tons and tons of really cool drawings. And that's the best way to learn is just by copying and seeing how other people do. Now, for this last one, I'm going to give you your choice of doing whatever you want. So this one's your choice. And I will also give you the option, if you want to draw this one after we're done with our Zoom meeting, you can do that and then upload and send it to me. I prefer this one to really be a dynamic body pose. For this one, I would like you to do something that you enjoy. So if you like soccer, you could have a soccer player. If you like basketball or baseball, maybe you've never tried this before. You're like, man, I really love volleyball. I've never drawn a volleyball player, so I'm going to draw a volleyball player. And for those, kind of sports related ones, it is good to know the difference between doing like a baseball, a basketball. There's some little nuances to these different kind of balls. And it's kind of fascinating because you add those and suddenly it's like, oh, that guy's playing basketball. People kind of put together two and two. Personally, I like skateboarding. So I'm going to have a guy, and maybe he's kicking on his board. And it doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't have to be that detailed. Or it can be, So remember, it's cartooning, which is a great excuse to be loose and a little sloppy if you want. If you want to make it really detailed, really nice, really dynamic, you can. And I know there's some people, and you know who you are, that are going to be like, oh yeah, I'm going to go to town on this. What's also been really fun is I've had some kids that have been enjoying the iPad, and they're like, wow, because you can adjust your pen to different shades, different tips, really go to town. So I've had some people that have been showing me some really cool stuff that they've been doing on their iPads. So anyway, once you're done, you can go ahead and I'm going to go ahead and end. And I would love to see if anybody has some art that they'd like to share. And I know it takes a lot of courage, a lot of bravery to share your drawings. Is there anybody that feels up to the task? It's pretty quiet out there. Quick question I have too. Did I overwhelm anybody? Is anybody completely like, this is crazy. I can't do this. Anybody? You can give me a thumbs down. We hardly ever do the thumbs down.
Not really.
Connor, you good?
Yeah, it was fairly easy. Just
Good.
copying your examples.
Awesome. That's great to hear. Luca, how did it go for you?
I'm still working on some of the poses, but
Okay, no surprise there. I know you like to put a lot into them. But it all made sense to you?
yeah.
Okay. And I know you won't have any problem with these.
Yeah, I've done a lot of these poses before myself, so
Yeah, I'm excited to see the stuff you're going to turn in because you never fail to disappoint. Chris, how did it go for you?
It was easy.
Good. That's what I like to hear. um, it, it necessarily wasn't that easy because these are bodies in motion. Most people, like, no, they can't do that. It's just too much, too hard. Uh, but like eating an elephant, one bite at a time. By doing one shape, the torso, then adding a leg, adding an arm, bit by bit, you're able to do this. So that really makes a big difference. Carlos, you there?
Yes.
Okay, how did it go for you, Carlos?
It was pretty good. Not that hard.
Good. Were you able to do all of them?
Um, the the fourth one from the
Mm-hmm.
first four drawings, I couldn't finish it.
Okay. And you know what? You don't have to turn this in during the Zoom meeting. There's no reason why you can't work on it after the Zoom meeting and then submit. Uh, Sometimes it takes a little practice. You look at it and go, wait, what's wrong with it? Figure it out, then erase, fix. So, and the more you do it, the better you get at it. Jaden, how
Yeah.
did it go for you?
It was pretty good. It was easy.
Hmm. Good. So far it seems like everybody said it's easy, which is what I like to hear. I don't want it to be too hard. I know I gave you a lot because technically it was 8 bodies we did, and they weren't just average bodies. These were bodies in motion, uh, so that takes a little bit more. And like I said, this will really be helpful when we do our comic strips and our comic books. Um, so I think that was everybody. But is anybody brave enough to share? Jaden, how do you feel? Do you feel confident enough to share? No? Because if you want to share, you just hold up the paper up to the screen. We can see yours. But if you're hesitating, it's all right. Because honestly, I really believe that the hardest thing in art is letting go and not caring what people say. Usually, if I'm talking to somebody and they're like, I can't even draw stick people, in my mind, I'm like, well, somewhere along the line, somebody, maybe even themselves, was like, I can't do this. And then, that ended their artistic career. So you have to, and a lot of times I'll get kids that come into art that they can't draw because they still have those things, those thoughts running through their head. So I have to teach them to let go. And then pretty soon they're like, oh, you know what? This isn't bad. Hey, this looks good. Or hey, look at this. It looks horrible, but I love it. So if that's you, if I'm talking about you, uh, start to learn to let go. Be like, it's okay. I don't care what people think. This is my drawing. I'm good with it. Okay. Mr. Dignan, did you do a little drawing while we were? Oh, I think he's muted or he's talking to somebody.
No, I was talking to you. Very little.
Okay.
Very little.
Do you want to share some of your drawing?
I'm not going to share any of my drawings at this point. We're still recording, my friend.
Okay, and that's totally fine. Totally
You're not
fine.
making a meme out of me.
Yeah. No, I was just grasping for straws because everybody's a little shy today.
No,
I
I love
know.
it. Thank you, Mr. G. Mr. G, I got to check out. I appreciate
Okay.
participation and appreciate your lesson. I'm always
All right. Well, thanks for joining us today.
how simplified you can make art for us all.
Good. That's good to hear.
All right. Thanks, guys. Have a great day, students.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Dignan. So go ahead and when you get a chance and you feel comfortable, uh, submit, and you do that on Canvas, and then I'll probably grade over the weekend. But if somehow I have some extra time, I'll do some grading today. So we're officially at an hour, which is way more than I usually take. Uh, so Jaden, don't worry, it's not always like this. Usually we do always video meet once a week. A couple times we've met twice, but usually it's just once a week. Most of the stuff, I'll post a video and say, hey, just follow along with the video, do this or do that or explain it, you submit. So it's actually pretty easy. The workload shouldn't be that heavy. I know I was really stoked that some people lately have just cranked out everything and gotten caught up. So let me go ahead and take attendance and then I'll cut you guys free and let you go, okay? Um, so First period, I got Jaden. Thanks for joining us today. Is Donnie still here? Did he make it all the way through? Oh, he left, huh? That's a shame. I don't know what happened. He came in. Okay, I got Luca. Carlos. Thanks for coming in, Carlos. Hang in there. Chris. Man, yesterday I did porch visits because what's happening is some people aren't showing up at all to their classes, to their Zoom, to nothing. And so they end up on a list. Okay, Connor, I got you. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, I got everybody. So Carlos, Luca, Ethan, Jaden, no, not Ethan. Jaden, Connor, and Chris. That's everybody I marked down. Anyway, so yesterday I went out and did visits to visit some of these people that haven't been coming. And, you know, I know it sounds bad. Like people are like, dude, somebody come to my house? Oh, crap, you know. But no, it's not like that at all. We usually get in touch with them and say, hey, we want to come by and visit you. Okay, whatever. And I visited 4 people. All of them said the same thing. They're like, man, I'm really sorry. I haven't been doing anything. Yeah, I need to do it. But for some weird reason, it's really hard for people to get motivated and do this online stuff, even though a lot of it can be pretty easy. Now, I have 2 kids, and they're in middle school, and one goes to SHAP, and they have a lot. I'm like, holy cow, every day they have a ton. So I feel sorry for them. And, you know, if you have a class like math or English, something like that, yeah, there might be some work involved. But every one of these kids, they just couldn't get motivated. And real quick before we log off, one of the kids, I went to their house, and the mom was like, he's not here right now. And he's got a lot of problems. You know, he's struggling with drugs, right? So she's like, he doesn't stay here all the time. Sometimes I don't let him stay here because he does drugs. But sometimes they'll be like, Mom, can I crash? And she'll be like, wait, are you high? Are you using? No, Mom, I'm not. Okay, you can sleep. And they were like, and she was like, well, he's at work right now. And she told me where he worked. And I was like, dude, I'll go visit him because I knew the guy, right? And then she also told me, I don't know if you knew this, but he has a friend that committed suicide recently. He also, his dad, their father, had taken off, had just abandoned the family. He's struggling with some heavy stuff. I was like, yeah, okay, cool. Anyway, I go visit him at his work, and he's like, no way, Mr. G, what's up? You know, and I'm like, hey. And he was like, the job wasn't the greatest job. You know, I'm not going to tell you what he was doing. It was a good job, just doesn't pay a lot. And I'm like, dude, congratulations, you got a job. He's like, yeah, it sucks though. It doesn't make a lot of money. And it was bizarre because I had had him last year in art, and he would never talk to me. He was really shy, but not really. And I'd be like, dude, speak up. Look me in the eye, man. Don't be so shy. I worked on that. And when I was talking to him, he said he almost didn't get the job because the guy hiring him thought he was like mentally retarded or wasn't like all there because he wasn't talking very loud and he had his eyes down. And his friend that works there had to tell the boss later, no, 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 he's not slow. He's smart. He's just kind of shy. And so the boss hired him. But I was like, well, there's a starting place. You got a job, now you can get a better job, or just keep working there. Maybe they'll move you up. And then I know I'm rambling, but 2 nights ago, I was working on my wife's van. I had to go get some tools. So I went to Walmart late at night, and out in front of the Walmart, there's one of my students. They're like, yo, Mr. G. I was like, oh, hey. And they were sitting there smoking. And I was like, hey, what's up? No, nothing much. And I had them last year, and they graduated. I'm like, you're all done, right? And they're like, yeah. And then we got talking, and I found out that they were working at Walmart. And they're kind of embarrassed about the job at Walmart. I'm like, no, man, nothing to be embarrassed about. It's a good job. It's a starting place. And they're like, yeah, but I definitely don't want to do this the rest of my life. And I was like, yeah, that's the idea, man. Because the real world is coming really fast, and you want to be ready for it. And if you have a high school diploma, or if at least you can learn some stuff that's going to make you valuable out there, it's going to go better for you. So done preaching. Sorry to ramble. I'll let you guys go. Thanks for showing up. Thanks for doing the work. I look forward to you guys submitting, and you guys can go ahead and take off. Have a great day. Bye, Luca.
See you. Have a good
See you,
rest of your day.
Connor. Thank you, man. Thanks for your help.